Hello guys, yeah, welcome again to my channel. And if you have already watched my first video of how to install physically these devices, the routers and the switch. Now, if you have not watched that video, please, I refer you to watch that video. Now, you already have, I already have my 1800 series Cisco router running, which is up here. And I also have my 48 port Cisco catalytic 2950 already running, which I already showed you in the initial configuration. Now I'm going to show you from A to zero how to configure this Cisco router from A to Z, not zero, I'm sorry, from A to Z. Now, of course, I already have my cable running from the console port from my switch. I changed the console port for my switch, which runs into my computer right now, as you have, which I'm going to show you how to configure using Putty. Now, let's go straight to sharing my screen. Um, so, well, what I'll do now is I'll simply share my screen. Now, what I want to do first is remember I have connected this to my this console port from my switch to my USB with the USB port to my laptop. Now I've already installed Putty. Just go to putty.com and you would see Putty depending on the bit of your device. So I've already installed 64-bit Putty, so which I just ran now. And so what you see here is you see SSH, Syria, and all that. So of course we do not want to use I do not want to use SSH to configure this switch, but I want to use the serial connection type. Now, over the serial connection type, you are going to see what serial line are you using and what speed. Of course, these are default, and you do not want to touch the speed. Just forget about leave the default speed. But however, we need this. This is very important to connect into the switch. Now, we want to know which port are we using to connect to the switch. Now, how do we do this? We simply right click on, for example, on our Windows, or you can go through uh, a shortcut, but I normally do right click. I just right click on the window tab there and go to device manager. And if you go to device manager, you go to port, which port you are using, then you will see that I have a connection with port 3, which is my switch. It's connected with port 3. So all I do now is just to change this to port 3. And now when I do that to port 3 and leave the leave the speed on default 96 uh 96,000, which is my default speed. Now why allow that to be, I just click open. Now when I hit open, I'm definitely going to see the Putty platform open with this kind of highlight. Of course, this is telling you that you are already inside your switch. Now if I hit on enter, I could switch up enter. As you can see, it's already telling me that I am inside already my switch. It's as simple as that. Getting inside your switch. Now, this is the step of getting inside. Now, what we want to do is that we want to enter a privilege mode. And how do we enter a privilege mode? We want to use enable, or somehow, if we don't want to use the complete word, we use en, and you click enter. Now, if you take note, there's a difference between the privilege mode, which en has this small arrow here, but for the privilege mode, we've got a hash. Now, that hash tells you we are already inside the privilege mode. Now, let's see in this short video, how can I set a host name for my switch? Because as you can see, the name of my switch is called switch, which it's not, it's good to be able to configure or rename your switch so that you have an assigned host name where it can easily locate this switch on the network. So how I want to do that is already on my enable mode, and I want to go now into my global configuration mode. And how I do that is to say config terminal, which is I could also do in a shorthand CONFT. And when I hit that, I'm going to see that It's telling me now that this switch is already on a config terminal hash. Now, I'm already in the configuration terminal, which shows that whatever I do in this terminal will be kept in the switch. Now, what I want to do, remember, is I want to change the host name. So all I would simply do is to say host name. Let's call this switch. I just call it over my name. Host name. Uh, uh, we just use Odysseus-d-IT. It's quite a long host name, but let's see how this go. Odysseus, and if we hit enter, now if you take note of it, it has changed my host name to Odysseus-d-IT. But I think I could change this name again so that it's not as long. I just use Odysseus as known. So I use Odysseus. So it means now that the host name for my switch has now been configured. Now, again, how do I assign or how do I configure a password for my switch? How I configure a password for my switch? Now I can exit. I'm back again. So um, it's telling me now that this switch is now Odysseus, as you can see from here. My switch name has now been Odysseus. Now, configuring the password, how do I configure the password? I go back again into, of course, I'm already in the enable mode. I just hit it again and go into configuration terminal. And now what I want to do now is I want to enable a secret. When I say enable a secret, means enables a password. So let's set a password. It is very necessary to put quite a strong password for your switch so that hackers might not find it quite easy. But I'm going to just use a regular password. Yes, I just use a password for this so that it's easier. So when I hit enter, I've enabled a secret password for this switch so that anytime I want to access this switch again, anytime I wish to access this switch again, I definitely I definitely will need to um, type in this password. And so this is very important. And so I think this is a short video on just renaming your switch. And in the part two, we will continue with how you can also configure network flow and as well as disable and use open port and how you can assign a default gateway to your switch and configure and network IP management, IP addresses, and all of these. And this is exactly what we want to do. Do not forget, we want to exit while we finish what we are doing. We exit from this, and to save what you have done, you hit enter. You also always want to use write. So it's, as you can see, it's saying building configuration. So write W arrow is used to save all the configuration that has been done over the switch. So please, let's wait as it builds the configuration. It takes a few minutes. Now you can see that uh, every configuration has been built and everything is in place. Thank you so much, and please watch out for part two.